This is lesson 3.3, subtracting integers. We have been adding integers, now we're going to be subtracting integers. Here are our learning targets. Today you're going to be learning how to identify subtraction as adding the additive inverse property. So that means that P minus Q is the same thing as P plus, so I'm adding, and then the opposite of Q would be negative Q here. The other thing that we're going to be doing is that you're able to apply what you already know to represent addition and subtraction problems in a vertical or horizontal number line. So let's review additive inverse. Now remember, when you add the inverses together, you're going to get 0. So let's think of 3 plus a negative 3. This will give you 0. So you think of the opposites, right? Let's say 5 plus a negative 5. That'd be 0. So 5 and negative 5 are opposites. When I add, let's say, negative 51 plus 51, that'll give me 0. Okay, those are additive inverses. And let's do another one. Let's say 2 plus a negative 2. Those are also additive inverses, and that'll give me 0. Okay, so now we're going to be subtracting integers, and we're going to be focusing on add the opposite. So what you're going to do is you're going to see a subtraction sign, but we're going to change it into an addition sign, okay? And how you change it is to, when you subtract an integer, you're going to change it to add its additive inverse. Now, you're not changing the problem, you're just changing the way it looks, okay? So let's go ahead and look at this. So I have P minus Q. So P minus Q is the same thing as adding, so P plus, and then it's the same thing as adding the opposite. So the opposite would be negative Q, okay? So P plus negative Q is the same thing as P minus Q. So let's do this example for minus 9. So what I want you to do is change the subtraction to adding the opposite. So the 4 is going to stay the same, but now I'm going to change this to adding the opposite. So the opposite of 9 is negative 9. So when you're seeing subtraction, it's the same thing as adding a negative. Now I'm going to show you how to graph 4 plus a negative 9. So I'm going to start at 4. You could start at 0 and say that I'm going to add 4 here. And then I need to add a negative 9. When we're going negative, negative is to the left, okay? More negative is to the left. So I need to move 9 spaces to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So then that means that when I have 4 plus a negative 9, that would give me negative 5. Now we're going to do 7 minus a negative 10. So we need to work on add the opposite. So instead of subtracting, I'm going to add. So I have 7 plus, so this would be add, and then this would be, I need the opposite. So the opposite of negative 10 is a positive 10. So now I just have 7 plus 10 basically. So I'm at 7, and I need to add 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that gets me to 17. So 7 plus 10 is 17, or 7 minus a negative 10 is 17. So you can think of it as when you are taking away negatives, it's becoming more positive. Think about the thumbs down, right? If you're getting rid of thumbs down, isn't it becoming a better video? So let's go ahead and use counters on this one. So I see that I have 6, and then I have to take away 7. Now we're going to rewrite it. So I'm going to do 6, and I want to do add the opposite. So instead of subtracting, I'm going to add. Instead of 7, I'm going to put the opposite, so minus 7. Okay? So 6 plus a negative 7. So now what we're going to do is use the chips. So I have 6 positives, right? So these are 6 positive chips. And then I have to take away 7. But I don't have enough to take away. But if I'm looking over here, it would say that I need to add in 7 negatives. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 7 negatives. Okay, so now I added in 7 negatives. So remember, a positive and a negative is a 0 pair. So I can cancel out these guys here. A positive and negative is 0. So these will all go up to, or go to 0. So you can cross them out if you want, circle them, whatever you're left with, or whatever you want to do. So what do I have left over? The red means negative, right? So I have 6 minus 7 equals -1, okay? You can also think of it as if I had 6 positives, and I have to take away 7 of them, so the 6 would go away, right? But I have to take away one more positive, but I don't have another positive to take away. So if I add in, we call it adding in a 0 pair. That's 0, right? So I'm not changing the problem, but now I can take away that 7, and I'm left with a -1. Let's go on to the next. All right, now we're gonna use chips again, but this time I'm actually going to just draw it out so you can see what it can be, so you don't have to draw chips. You can just do positives and negatives. But I'm gonna keep the colors the same, okay? So I have 8 negatives, but saying that I have to take away 13 negatives, I don't have enough. Now the best thing to do, especially when I see like these negatives, like a subtraction sign and a negative right here, when I see that, I like to change it right away. So I say that it's -8, and I'm going to, it can be written as adding the opposite. So instead of subtracting, I'm going to add, and then the opposite of -13 is +13. So I have a -8 plus 13. Now I can change this to positive. So I'm going to go ahead and I have -8 over here already. Now I'm going to add 13 positives. Okay, so now I have 13 positives. Now I can make my 0 pairs. So I'm going to go ahead and circle all this, and that makes a 0 pair. So what am I left with? I have how many positives? I have 5 positives here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So that means that -8 minus a -13 equals a +5. I did want to show you how to do it if you wanted to just do -8 minus a -13 and why it becomes positive. So it says that I have to take away 13 negatives. Well, this only leaves me taking away 8 negatives. So I have to take away 5 more negatives. So that's when you do that 0 pair. So you have a plus and a minus, or a minus and a plus here, and I need 5 of them. Okay, this is 0. So you can think of this as this part as a 0 set here. Okay, so I took away 8 here on the left. Now I have to take away until I get to take away 13 total. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So what am I left with? I'm left with 5 positives. That's the end of subtracting integers. We will be working on guided practice and independent practice in class.